You are about to enter Chuck versus the podcast, the place for people who love Chuck and the people who work on Chuck. The only show that takes you behind the scenes with the stars.
Yvonne Strahovski.
Zachary Levi. Joshua Gomez.
Ryan McParland.
Adam Balba.
Sarah Lancaster.
Interactive interviews.
Julia Ling.
Phil Clemmer.
All the cast.
Dixon High. Tony Hale. Scott Krinsky. Mark Christopher Lawrence.
Anita Federici.
Fun hosts.
This is Mel. This is Liz. Now you can see how wacko we are.
The writers.
Allie Adler. Scott Rosenbaum. Zev Barrow.
The editors.
Matt Barber. Jeff Granville. Kevin Mock.
Contests.
We are giving away a Chuck press kit.
The directors.
Jason Ensley. Norman Buckley.
The guest stars.
Steve Austin.
Kristen Group.
The music.
This is Tim Jones.
Guest hosts.
I'm Kaylee from Toronto.
Conventions.
Lights come up, and here comes Jester out on stage.
Set visits.
This is the guy right here.
And much more. Are you ready? This is Gray.
This is Mel.
This is Liz.
And we want to welcome you to Chuck versus the Podcast, episode 81 for Friday, February 18th, 2011. We have a very fun episode of Chuck to discuss, so let's get the news out of the way. And we definitely want to get this out of the way. The ratings this week. This was the third week in a row that we had 1.7, which week in a row is actually, good news. Chuck versus the Cat Squad held steady at 1.7 in adults 18 to 49 with approximately 5.5 million viewers. If you looked at the ratings from Monday night, virtually everything else was down. Literally, House was down 21%. Gossip Girl, I think, was down 22%. Harry's Law had 1.7. The Cape continues to slide 1.2. I mean, it's unfortunately not a great. You'd obviously rather have 2.5 and like 25 bazillion viewers, but at least Chuck was holding steady when everybody else was falling. So in comparison, Chuck looks okay, and NBC made sure to clarify that Chuck is adding an average 26% to its 18 to 49 rating when going from the previously reported live plus same day to its live plus 7-day figure. So NBC is obviously as pleased as you could be in this situation. So that's that about the ratings.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that it didn't drop considering it was Valentine's night.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Valentine's, like on Valentine's Day.
I was bracing myself for, a 1.6 or a 1.5 since I figured a lot of people would be gone. Not everybody's as dedicated as we are.
Mm-hmm.
And putting plans on hold, delaying them by an hour or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice surprise to see that it did hold steady at 1.7.
Yeah. So now, does that mean that Chucksters don't have Valentine's?
Careful, Ray. Careful.
Oh, no. Chucksters are so devoted that they watch Chuck for their Valentine's date.
Chuck is our Valentine.
Yeah.
Or we just have very understanding partners.
Yeah. Lots of reasons anyway. We're happy with a 1.7, and I wouldn't freak out about it.
Well, in good news, screencasts are back.
Woohoo!
Due to the digital licensing issues between Warner Brothers and iTunes and Amazon, we haven't had clean copies of the episodes to screencap for the past several weeks. And by clean, I mean without all of the network bugs and the school closings and the weather maps showing the impending snow apocalypse that are on my copies on my TV, on my DVR.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure you didn't want to see those. So thanks to the work of Canadian fan Just Chuck, who capped 411 through 414 for us, and then the return of Chuck on Amazon this week, finally, we have the caps for episodes 411 through 415 in the ChuckTV.net gallery. I know a lot of you have been wondering where they were. They're here, and barring further legal bumps in the road, we should be able to bring those to you within 24 hours of each new episode from now on, like we had been. So enjoy those. Have fun making your gifts and your wallpapers and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Fun. I'm glad they're back. E-Online is running their annual TV's Top Couples poll right now. And, of course, Chuck and Sarah are in the running right here. The poll is structured like a March Madness bracket with new rounds every couple of days. So be sure to stop by eonline.com and find the latest round and vote for Chuck and Sarah.
And speaking about Chuck and Sarah, and a lot more of Sarah's past, we had Chuck versus the cats. Okay, that was a weaker segue, but we do have a very fun episode of Chuck to discuss. Chuck versus the Cat Squad. I thought was a really fun episode and surprisingly touching, especially at the end. I know a number of people were tweeting, same as me. I got teary-eyed in the end. So a decent showing of Chuck, but there were some problems noted by some fans. Did you guys hear anything about that?
Yeah, I think a large part of it is this is written by Nicholas Wooten, who's one of the new writers, and it just feels like he's still trying to get the tone of the show and the characters. Mm-hmm. It was just a little bit off. It was still, I enjoyed the episode. It's not going to be in my top 5 or top 10, but it was a good outing, and it gave us a lot to build on with Sarah. Mm-hmm. It was nice to see her come out of this with friends, with, and opening herself up and saying, you know what, I do need friends. Mm-hmm. And I do want you back in my life. And I do want to strengthen this bond I have with my soon-to-be sister-in-law. So that was really nice. But yeah, there were flaws. There was, it wasn't one of the strongest episodes. But as somebody in the CheckTV.net forum said, even when Chuck has a bad episode, it's better than 95% of what's on TV. So.
Yeah.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. I don't know any TV show that doesn't have one or two that didn't really just hit it all with the fans, and maybe this was one of them. I enjoyed it, but I can't say where anything really stood out. When compared to last week, where it just had me rolling on the floor. Mm-hmm. But I did like the Sarah and Ellie thing a lot. Mm-hmm. I think, I just kind of wondered, as I was watching that, I kind of wondered if Ellie needed that as much as Sarah did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Ellie needs a sister, doesn't she?
She does. She's surrounded by men. She's had to take care of one, and sometimes she's got to take care of the other. And, I just think that's going to be good for both of them. I hope we get to see some of that. Mm-hmm. The two of them doing lunch or something.
It seemed like, and I hope I'm reading this correctly, it seemed like they were making a point to say Sarah and Ellie are friends and they are going to interact more. This is our springboard. Mm-hmm. Just like the narrator at the end said something about adding a new member to the Cat Squad, referring to Ellie. That had me going, whoa, what? What kind of a foreshadowing is that?
Yeah.
What's happened? So it kind of felt like those scenes that we had between Sarah and Ellie were a jumping off point for what's coming up.
Mm-hmm. And one fan actually tweeted on Tuesday that they had issues on Monday night. The way they put it was, I was one of the people who had a problem with Monday night. But then the next day when they woke up, they said, I realized that my expectations were too high. And what this fan said was that, particularly with Karina coming back, every Karina episode has had a lot of very fun dynamic with her character. And this time when she came back, I think a lot of fans had an expectation that we were going to get a Karina episode when we had a lot of characters and a lot of storylines to service at the same time. And you got Lou Diamond Phillips. He's a major guest star. You got to service him. You've got these other girls in the Cat Squad. You've got this Ellie and Sarah storyline. You've got the Sarah and Chuck storyline. You got Casey and Alex was a huge thing. And there was just so much going on. And I got the feeling that a lot of this was set up for the next block of episodes. Like important things had to happen here. And so I think just balancing all of that, you're going to be disappointed about something. Like if you're looking for more in the Alex thing, there just wasn't time for it. If you're looking for more with Karina, she was barely on screen. But
does that then mean that they shouldn't be so ambitious in an episode? Was there something that they should have cut maybe put it in the next episode, or, you're a writer. What would you have done in that case?
Well, first of all, some of it may have been written and then just ended up cut for time, which often happens. Who knows? Maybe there was even more. But I do think, if you put it in this perspective, last year, a similar positioned episode was The Mask. And there were some things that had to happen in that episode to set up what was happening later. And one of the biggest comments from that episode was that it felt forced, like it happened too quickly. And if you measure it that way, I think this was a very fun episode, and I don't think it was what fans would not criticize this episode to the level that they criticized the Mask episode.
No.
But I do think when you have to take care of a major, like you have to advance things, sometimes it can not feel as natural, maybe.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it did feel a little bit forced in some areas. Not so much that I didn't enjoy it. Like I said, it was still an entertaining episode. And I really, really liked that we got to see Sarah interacting with her old friends and resolving, obviously, a very real hurt for her. So she was Zandra. And these girls, it sounds, if I'm getting the timeline correct, they came through training together and were, maybe each other's first real team. And then there was betrayal and a lot of hurt feelings and things were said, and they had to have an actual cat fight.
Yeah,
in the dojo.
Let's talk about some of the important things that did happen. When you think about it that way, this possibly was one of the biggest things that prevented Sarah from, opening her heart to people. And with this resolved, perhaps we're going to get to see more of her being willing to open her heart, as I think was teased to us at the end with Ellie. We started the episode